The YouTube documentary Full Force is one of my favorite videos of all time, and if YouTube were to have a Hall of Fame, I believe that it would have its place there. 5 years have passed and 24 million views later, I can't be the only one who was curious about the state of Chris after its filming. I mean, I kept up for a couple months until eventually the video and its subject had well left my mind. Years go by and Chris seems to be doing well for himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be blunt to the point and just get this over with. Because this is not an easy video for me to do.
Oh. Looks like I've missed some things. Truth be told, things have been turbulent for our guy. Since the recording of the documentary, his mother has passed away, he no longer lives in his family home, and he had the unfortunate fate of being handled by fake social media managers that pretty much attempted to drag him down to the floor and take everything he stood to gain from YouTube. He was not in a good place, even did a couple things that I would say definitely damaged his image. Luckily, a man you may know, Sam Hyde, scooped him up and gave him the opportunity to not be homeless, and even make a little money through his show Fish Tank. That's about the extent I kept up with all of it, because honestly, it hurt me a little bit to see the guy doing so badly. He's pretty much what I would say is pretty much the equivalent of the concept of childlike wonder, and it just made me sad to see him going down a path like that until April 24th, 2025, Chris uploaded a video titled, "What About Me?" which attempted, and I think did a pretty good job at unraveling a lot of the behind-the-scenes dynamic between Fatty and iDubbbzTV. Some of this was already known.
I reached out to Ian for help that day, and Ian never fucking replied. You want to talk about some shit? I messaged Idubbbz the other day. I said, hey, can you just share my stream around? I didn't ask him for money or anything. I said, hey, share my stream around. Looked at the message and never fucking replied. Like, that doesn't fucking make me feel like shit, man.
But Chris did what I actually thought was really commendable. He really did his best to put his feelings aside, and he now looks at things from a renewed and healthy angle. He decided to lay everything out on the table for all of us who were majoritively left out in the dark. I would encourage you to watch Chris's full video, which will be in the description, so you don't have to listen to my annoying ass cutting it up so that I can get to the talking points and, get to the rest of the video that I kind of have plotted and written out.
First off, Ian, what's going on? You remember me, right? I hope so. Something the fans don't know about, but you sure as hell do, is the fact that I have reached out plenty of times through email the past year. I've called your old number. I've texted your old number. Got nothing. You've blocked me on Instagram. And on YouTube, it seems you've hit on my comments because neither you nor anyone who watches those videos ever replies to me or asks if they've even seen my comments. My father's saying was that the figures don't lie, but liars will always find a way to figure. Look at the figures. Let's look at the facts of what the video is. So Full Force is your #1 most viewed video, and it is the video that has made you the most fucking money, period. Both in sponsorship money and ad views.
On one hand, I would really wish that Fatty would have been a little bit less crass in this moment, seeing as if I'm affording Ian the charitability that I give everyone, Chris doesn't have the numbers and really has no idea if this is true. I mean, common sense dictates if it has, the most amount of views on his channel. AdSense, yes. I would say AdSense is a pretty safe figure to say that he made the most on. But the Full Force documentary contained a Raycon sponsorship, and I don't believe there's any way to measure the success of a referral product aside from straight up asking the company for information they would never give you. This is, however, just a small blemish on an important video. I just feel like it's my responsibility to bring it up because if I were a detractor of Chris or if I were Idubbbz and I was trying to defend myself in this scenario, this is something I would point out.
It brought a lot of attention. You brought a light to my crazy ass life. 24 million views later. All these years later, right? When you first came to Battle Creek, Ian, that was a huge honor. And I mean that. It was a huge honor. If my mother were here, she'd tell you about how when you first pulled up, I didn't think you were real. I thought it was fake. But then I looked out the window, and there the fuck you were. And I said to myself, no fucking way, it's real. The thing is, during filming, you shot me a lot of looks. You shot your camera guy a lot of looks. Not kind looks, per se. And you made a lot of jokes that I, at the time, had fly over my head because I was starstruck.
This is actually something that you can pick up on in the documentary. There were a few things Ian said or did during filming that I had believed to be slightly disrespectful or rude, but, seeing as Chris never said anything, I was just under the impression that Idubbbz had given him some kind of warning beforehand that there would occasionally be remarks made at his expense. Just a, hey, man, I'm gonna make some light jabs at you, I'm gonna play this up, I'm gonna, try and get people going, make people laugh, because, I mean, to be fair, that is Ian's brand. Ian's brand was literally built around making fun of people, and Fatty, I hesitate to say he should have seen it coming, but what else was he really there to do? He really hadn't established himself in doing pretty much anything else at that point, other than just making fun of people's products, making fun of people's content. Realistically, what else did he really do? But all that being said, he didn't expect it. He didn't see it coming because he was genuinely hurt by some of his remarks.
This is not a part of the house I'm actually proud of.
Yeah, I get you.
I do,
but it's a work in progress, like
oh
you
yeah,
said.
I plan to get everything done, like I said.
Work in progress.
This is literally years.
That's all it is.
I'm not going to cherry pick examples because Ian was both charitable and rude in his exchanges, and to his credit, I would say that during his stay, he was more often than not kind. What irritates me isn't what happened while he was there. What irritates me is the post-trip voiceovers where he's not around Fatty, mainly because this is where he ends up being the most overtly mean-spirited towards Chris and his lifestyle.
During the duel, all I could think of was, is this entertaining? What am I watching? Why am I involved in this at all? Why am I filming this?
Ian sure does seem to be embarrassed to be around Fatty, but he doesn't have any problems collecting the benefits of filming him. It's even worse within, the context of that clip because Ian literally begged Chris. He begged him to have that lightsaber fight.
When we showed up in Battle Creek, we thought we were going to be able to film Fatty and Robert dueling all the time, interacting with each other, but that just wasn't the case. But I was determined. I was determined to get Fatty and Robert to duel each other, because that is some of my favorite content on Fatty's channel. I wanted to see it. I wanted to effing see it.
He went out of his way. He took a whole day to go, find Robert, do whatever. He did all that just so that this lightsaber fight can happen. And all he did the whole time was make fun of him for doing it. He's the one that put it together.
You never were honoring me. At all. You weren't honoring my originality. You weren't honoring my content. No, you were just making jokes. Jokes upon jokes.
I'm conflicted about this. Does the responsibility rest on Chris's shoulders? As I mentioned earlier, Ian's character up to this point is well developed and well known. He makes fun of people. That's his thing. Was Chris wrong to expect anything else? I mean that can't be right though, because he made a very similar documentary on Dax Flame, and the snarky remarks and overall banter at the subject's expense is almost entirely absent.
That's all fine. That's all fine and dandy. But what makes me upset about it is you claim to be on a redemption arc, and yet you've completely glossed over someone that you've fucked over majorly. Let's say your kid develops a skill and it gets him a lot of views. Or maybe he's just a weird guy in general and gets a lot of views, right? Regardless. Your kid gets to a point that this famous guy comes and makes a documentary on him, and this documentary becomes slowly his most highest viewed and highest grossing film he's ever made. But then your son doesn't see a penny of it.
Chris not being paid for welcoming Idubbbz to his home with open arms, being interviewed and dedicating a large amount of time to filming and getting skits together is not a good look for Idubbbz. Fatty is mistaken here. Idubbbz has never been on any kind of empathy arc. Ian has developed an unrivaled mentality of simultaneously lashing out and getting into drama as the aggressor, but somehow still claiming to be, on the back foot against the wall defending himself. There is no peace for someone like Ian. If he has no problems, no beef, if he has no arguments, no controversial takes, he has nothing, because at his core, he simply is just no longer entertaining. The only quality left in his channel is being a punching bag and money farm for commentary channels to kind of exploit.
And then not only that, but calls your son out to the national anthem for a baseball game. It doesn't fucking pay him. And when he's there, don't give him no fucking respect. Because I'm almost fucking certain you and Anissa would raise hell. But I'm supposed to keep shut about it. I get that we were making lots of entertaining moments. We made content gold. But the problem is, that tarnished me a little bit. Like, badly. And at first, it was life-changing. I started being able to pay bills with the money I made from YouTube. I started getting major views and everything else. But something that came with it was the fucking trolling. I have come to know that this internet has some fairly nasty people on it, okay? Because let me tell you something. I will give you a very good fucking example. And you're going to realize why I'm upset. Because while I'm dealing with all this, you're there cashing the checks. Literally put me on a pedestal. You literally made like a Roman family. You were like, oh, baby boy born. We take him to woods, we put him on a pedestal, and we leave him there for the wolves. You took this infant Spartan and you said, here's your pedestal. There's a wolf there, wolf over there, wolf there. There's one over there just staring at me waiting me to leave. And I ain't gonna leave you no armor. I'm not gonna leave you no weapon. Bye-bye.
I do feel as if Chris was being a little uncharitable here. It's not directly Ian's fault that people started messing with Fatty after the documentary. It's just a byproduct of having that many eyes on you mixed with your personality, essentially. Ian didn't encourage or incite anybody to cause Fatty any turmoil. It's just what some people do, unfortunately.
I really do. I just want to legitimately ask, because I'm getting to a point now where I'm getting fucking emotional. I want to ask, was I ever legitimately interesting to you, Ian? Or was I another fucking joke of yours? Another goddamn video for you to make money off of, like one of your stupid content cops. I'm gonna be honest, right? It's a tough pill to swallow when people to this day make fun of you. Because when you were a little kid, a little autistic kid, you broke down and turned to the one place you felt safe turning to. When you called me for Creator Clash 1 to do the anthem, I was honored. But something that you never told people, and I kept my mouth shut for the longest time, is I never got paid to do Creator Clash. I'm just gonna knock the whole Creator Clash thing out, like right fucking now, okay? Because this is where I'm gonna get the most mad. I went out there for a second time, gave you your most viral fucking moment for your stupid boxing event, right? And don't get me wrong, it's not stupid, it's a good cause, right? But the fact, I'm pissed, dude. I went there, I wasn't getting paid. You flew me out the night before. I didn't get checked into a hotel room till close to fucking midnight. The next morning, when I went to the event, I was supposed to have a spot I could go to where I could be alone because I don't do too good with large crowds. You know, where I could just go practice for a bit, get myself in the mood. I got put in a little side room with the catering, with people coming in and out. I'm like nervous as shit. And it was so bad to a point when the arena manager came in to get something, and I was sat there kind of nervous. I didn't like people just walking in on me like that. It's one thing to know you're going on stage and know you're going to do it. It's another thing we just randomly have people walk in. When the arena manager came in, he came up to me, and what's the first thing he says to me? Hey man, I'm a veteran, and you know, I just want to make sure you're not about to go out there and fuck this all up, right?
What an absolutely S-tier dialogue exchange. A guy is visibly nervous, singing to himself in the corner, and your first course of action is to go up to him and attempt to intimidate him. What an absolutely abhorrent thing to say to someone.
Oh, fuck yeah! That's what I want to fucking hear before I perform. Oh, and what's fucking better? I got one sentence with you the whole fucking trip. The guy who brought me out to do it said one sentence to me the entire time. Wrong. I was happy to do it unpaid because it was for a good cause. But I was expecting to at least be able to hang with you at some point before the fight, or get more than just a sentence, or maybe have you say something like, hey, good luck, like I did to you during the one little sentence exchange we had. I said to you, yeah, good luck out there, man. I hope you do good, man. You're doing something good here. Kiss your fucking ass.
Chris very obviously looks up to Ian, and as much as I don't want to believe this is the case, I believe Ian kept Chris around as a lapdog he could throw around free of charge, basically, because he knew that there was no way he could resist being in a room with him once again. The fact that Fatty couldn't even talk to Ian is just so sad, man, because you know that's like 80% of the reason why he even went. Probably couldn't care less about the event, probably couldn't care less, yada yada. He wants to be with someone that he perceives to be his friend.
Ian, don't you think it's kind of weird, the position you put me in? It was solved by your boogeyman, Sam Hyde. That's your arch nemesis right there. By the way, that wasn't even orchestrated. I didn't even realize that was the dude that was fucking with you. You know, my best friend B, he originally reached out to Sam for me because, like, I was going through some shit. I was going homeless that fucking week when I reached out to him. Because, guess what? Some of the trolls that came from you were calling my landlord at the time, making death threats to a point that I was asked to move. You know what the worst fucking part is? I reached out to you first. I reached out to you about that situation. I didn't ask you for money. I said, I need some advice. And then you sat there and told me, sometimes you just gotta cut the bleeding limb off and get a job. Is that what you say to someone that you thought had potential? Or is that something that you say to someone that you consider a waste?
Sorry for minutes upon minutes of using clips. I in the past have been guilty of being afraid to use too much source material, and so my videos have suffered due to lack of context. I'm still really new to this, so I'm trying to find, the appropriate clip length while also leaving enough to justify watching the original, while also not getting copyrighted, while also providing sufficient context. By the way, I didn't actually have any commentary for this section because I covered it in the intro, so get fucked.
Sad as it may seem, Sam has never once said a bad thing to me about you. He's never mentioned it. Never even mentioned you. To be able to put my side of the story out there, how hard it is to find any semblance of normalcy in my life, because that documentary has done so fucking much. I can't get a fucking 9 to 5 anymore. I can't go get a regular job, Ian. And that's not the only reason. But that one video has more views than any of my videos combined. Where's my pat on the back? I want you to understand that I do appreciate all the opportunities that you've done. Because it's brought me to a point where I am today.
I'm going to cut this off right here and simplify the ending, so if you want to see it for yourself and go over to Chris's channel, also because this is getting pretty long. This video had an emotional impact on me because I know how I would feel if I were in Fatty's shoes. If you're all of a sudden signal boosted to a massive degree and left hanging, it's kind of similar to like dropping someone in the middle of the desert blindfolded, spinning you around a couple times and leaving. You can't go back to where you were, but you also don't really know where you're going. I want to believe that Idubbbz will get better. I want to believe that he doesn't know what he's doing and is simply ignorant to the person he has become, but we all know that's not true. Ian is a deeply intelligent, and at least in the past, he has shown himself to be extremely self-aware. If you want my personal take, which you do, you're on my YouTube channel, dude, that's so cool. Thanks, subscribe, like, subscribe. I think that his change to being a less edgy version of himself was a rough transition, and he didn't really have it all out of his system when it came to time to do the documentary. He was still used to grabbing attention by being mean, which, would have been totally fine. He never said or did anything he couldn't have simply apologized to Chris for. To be honest with you, if he were friends with Fatty and maintained any kind of relationship with him, nothing he said in the documentary would ever even have been thought of as mean-spirited, because friends make fun of each other constantly. But cutting him off after and profiting so much from him, then only reaching out for creator clash because you wanted something from him, was really selfish and childish. I hope one day he is genuine with himself and actually does try to make amends with the people he's affected with his, let's face it, majoritively negative digital footprint. But in light of recent events, I don't believe that's ever going to happen. The hole he has dug for himself will continue to get deeper until his voice is no longer heard and he is replaced by someone who does his job better than him. Such is the YouTube cycle. Thank you very much for watching. I apologize for the 3-month hiatus. That was pretty bad. I got a few people unsubscribed, rightfully so. But I had a bit of an identity crisis with the channel. I kind of wanted to cover that in an official capacity, not in like a community post. I want people to go back at this and kind of watch it and understand my thought process. But I was basically thinking all the videos I had made in the commentary space almost feels like they were read out, written, and made by a completely different person. And I know that sounds bizarre to say, but I feel as if I was kind of heading in this like mean-spirited direction because it was working. And I'm a Christian. I believe in becoming 1% better of a person every single day. And that was really digging on my... It was really digging on my soul, weirdly enough to say. I felt very terrible that those videos were doing well, which I don't know how much you guys know about like being a small channel, but dude, 1,000 views for a small channel, that's big. Like that's very big. That's like, I mean, if every single one of your videos is getting 1,000 views, you get big pretty quickly. And I felt as if I was getting views off of essentially being, I don't want to say being evil, but being not a good person. I'm not representing myself very well. As I said, a few of those videos I actually took down because I felt they very egregiously misrepresented my character, because I probably just got emotional while I was filming them. I had made a video on this gentleman, it was like some VR chat video or whatever, and I privated that one as well because I was just making fun of him, and I don't want to do that. I really don't want my contribution to YouTube to be this this guy that just pokes fun at people. And I mean, I guess like if it's between friends, if it's like genuinely in good spirit, I guess that's one thing. But I really feel as if I was using an excuse to kind of come down on that guy for his unusual tastes. And I didn't have a clear conscience about that. So I took some time. I wanted to improve myself a little bit more before I kind of picked this up again. I want to thank you a lot for listening. I want to thank you a lot for sticking around if you have. I would like to thank you for not unsubscribing in the past 3 months. And yeah, have a good one, guys. See ya.